Welcome to Amit Shakil's 5858 War and Love Report. I am Amir.
Experts say the war in Ukraine is reaching a pivotal point as Russia sends in reinforcements to try to prevent a breach of its defensive lines.
As the coup leaders in Gabon name a new interim leader, the ousted president of the West African nation appears in a video and asks the world for help.
5 railway workers in Italy are killed after being hit by a train travelling at over 150 kilometres an hour.
The battle on Ukraine's eastern front is reaching a pivotal point in the war with Russia. Experts say Robotyne in the south and Kupiansk in Donetsk remain focal points of dueling offensives. Ukraine's troops are coming under constant drone fire, but the mission remains to cleave out a land bridge between Russia and Crimea and cut off Moscow's forces in the occupied areas to the south. The Russian command realizes the dangers of a breakthrough. Large reserves of the Russian armed forces have begun to arrive in the Robotyne area. But neither army can function without ammunition, and Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu has told workers at a military plant in the Tula region to set up non-stop, round-the-clock production. Shoigu has also recently travelled to North Korea to try to convince Pyongyang to sell artillery ammunition to Russia.
Any arms deal between the DPRK and Russia would directly violate a number of UN Security Council resolutions. We're continuing to monitor the situation closely, and we urge the DPRK to cease its arms negotiations with Russia and abide by the public commitments that Pyongyang has made to not provide or sell arms to Russia.
Meanwhile, Russian officials vowed that Tuesday night's drone attack on Pskov airport would not go unpunished.
Gabon's coup organisers have announced a new leader of the West African country. He's General Brice Oligui Nguema, and one of the first things he did was order the reconnection of international radio and television channels. Officially named the transitional president, Nguema has not appeared in public in the 3 communiques made so far by the junta. But one person who has appeared is the deposed President Ali Bongo, who's under house arrest and has been accused of high treason against state institutions. In a video released by an anonymous source, the president asks his friends around the world to speak out against the coup plotters. Meanwhile, in the streets, there are signs of euphoria, but not in the way that Ali Bongo would appreciate. Thousands of people are demonstrating their support for the coup that's put an end to his family's ruling dynasty, at least for now. They've been in power since 1967.
Investigations underway after 5 railway workers were killed by a speeding train in northern Italy. They were working on replacing parts of the track at the Brandizzo station near Turin when the locomotive slammed into them. 2 other members of the team were injured. The train was moving empty carriages on the line between Milan and Turin. It was reported to have been travelling at 160 kilometres an hour, and officials said the investigation would focus on why it was rolling so fast.
Anytime you or Mr. McCarrick.
The judge has ruled that former Roman Catholic Cardinal Theodore McCarrick is not competent to stand trial. The charges accusing the 93-year-old of sexually assaulting a teenage boy in Massachusetts have been dismissed. A psychologist testified that McCarrick was unfit to participate with his lawyers in his own defense. The once powerful American prelate had faced charges that he abused the teenage boy at a wedding reception in 1974. McCarrick has always maintained his innocence.
Chile's President Gabriel Boric has launched an initiative to search for people who disappeared during the Pinochet dictatorship. It comes in the same week that the country's Supreme Court awarded posthumous degrees to 8 dictatorship victims. From 1973 to 1990, during the rule of dictator Augusto Pinochet, it's believed some 3,200 leftist activists and other suspected opponents were killed by the regime. Pinochet died in 2006 without ever being convicted of the crimes.
Tropical storm Italia heads for Georgia and the Carolinas after leaving a trail of destruction in Florida. Arriving in the Sunshine State Wednesday morning, winds of an estimated 200 kilometers per hour triggered a catastrophic storm surge. All states hit by the storm have had to declare a state of emergency. Most coastal areas heeded the warning to evacuate, but some further inland thought they could brazen it after pure luck in previous hurricanes.
I hear literally my fan go off, and I said, okay, the power went out. That's going to be the worst case scenario. And then I open my door, and I see a river outside.
The focus now is to clear debris and restore power to the hundreds of thousands of homes that have been cut off from the electricity grid. Anyone thinking of profiting from the situation has been warned with signs emblazoned with "You loot, we shoot." Meteorologists meanwhile say a rare blue supermoon could further raise tides above normal levels on top of Italia's destructive impact.
I want to say thank you.
Top US Republican Mitch McConnell has suffered another health scare before the cameras, his second in recent weeks. The senator appeared motionless and unable to speak while taking questions after an event in Kentucky. He froze and fell silent for about 30 seconds. The 81-year-old's aides came to his assistance and helped him to hurriedly finish the press conference. McConnell was struck by a similar malaise in July while talking to the media. President Joe Biden, who's a year younger, has expressed his concern.
Trump said in the 2016 campaign, I could shoot a man in the middle of Fifth Avenue in New York and people would still vote for me. And there are some Americans who will do that.
He was a media whirlwind in 2016, and in 2023, Donald Trump is back in the media spotlight with his criminal trials and his hopes of winning the 2024 presidential election again. The former president insists on his innocence and accuses the media of a witch hunt against him. That narrative resonates with his supporters who are increasingly committed to his cause.
A conviction or even just the indictments probably hurts him more than helps him. However, in the primary process, in the nomination process, it's clearly helping him. It's taking attention away from the other candidates.
But the bigger issue was simply saying Trump is leading in the polls, is that the media is buying into basically a reinforcing narrative. What happens here is the media give all the attention to Trump. If the media actually made this a level playing field in terms of covering candidates and issues, rather than treating this as a circus with Donald Trump as the ringmaster, then you might get a true democratic process rather than one where the media effectively is an accomplice to what is an attempt by Trump to anoint himself as the Republican nominee.
Despite Trump's shadow continuously looming over the Republican candidates and overshadowing their electoral platforms, there's a broad understanding that the former president's figure remains crucial for winning the party primaries.
Well, there's an immediate answer regarding the Republican candidates in their debate on Wednesday night in Wisconsin, and why 6 of the 8 said, look, even if he's convicted, I support him becoming president. And that is that the political calculations for almost all the candidates is, if you say that Trump shouldn't take office, you lose any chance of getting voters who are Trumpists. And to be honest with you, that has been the phenomenon for the Republican Party since Trump became president in 2016.
Outside the Republican ranks, the national mood might be pointing in a different direction. A significant percentage of American citizens say it's time to turn the page, even for Joe Biden.
75% of American voters do not want a repeat of Trump v. Biden. 66% of Republicans don't want him to run again, and a similar number of Democrats don't want Biden. So I think a lot of Republicans will say it's time to move on.
A blue supermoon is currently lighting up night skies, providing a celestial treat for stargazers. To be clear, disappointingly, the moon isn't actually blue. Rather, the sighting of this type of moon at this time only happens once in a blue moon. A supermoon means that the moon is reaching the point of its orbit at which it's closest to the Earth. That's why it looks its largest and seems to shine its brightest. A blue moon refers to the phenomenon that finds 2 supermoons taking place in one calendar month. It only comes about due to a special juggling of the dates in the year that results in 13 moons in a year instead of the typical 12. The last time a blue supermoon was seen was back in 2009. NASA says the next one won't happen until 2037.
Venice rolls out the red carpet and fills with glamour at the opening of its famous film festival, an edition with more Italian and European flavour than ever. And it's for a matter of principle. Hollywood actors have been on strike since mid-July. The president of the jury, American director Damien Chazelle, has expressed his support for the walkout and for cinema as art, not as content to feed a channel. David Morricone does more from the Serenissimo.
The 80th edition of the Venice Film Festival kicked off with the Italian World War II film Comandante, which replaced Luca Guadagnino's Challengers due to the ongoing writers and actors strikes in the US. It's a strong sub, as the film finds humanity in the darkest of places, as World War II submariners disobey their orders and save some of their enemies. But the main talking point on the Lido at the moment is still the inclusion in the lineup of 3 controversial directors, Roman Polanski, Woody Allen and Luc Besson. It remains to be seen how these films are received, but they will premiere in the coming days. From Venice, David Morricone, Euronews.
Thank you for watching and privilege of your time. This is Amir Shakil 5858. I am Amir Woodman. Have a good life.